Today's question is, what safety precautions should I take when using my Cricut machine? This is the Creative Crafters Podcast. Hi, I'm Bette from Bette's Makes, and this is your questions answered. We should always have safety precautions no matter what we're doing with any machine. So I have a few tips for you, and we'll just start with workplace safety. We want to keep the workspace clean and clutter-free, and that means behind the machine is where the mat goes back and forth. You have to make sure it's not going to hit anything while you're there, as it may buckle, and of course, once it buckles, it could damage your machine. So just ensure there's no obstructions around the machine. It's easy to get to. You can change it whenever you want. All right, number 2 are blades and tools. You're going to handle the blades and tools with care, so avoid direct contact with the sharp edges. In other words, don't depress the lever and put your finger underneath where the blade is going to be. That means you will end up cutting yourself, so be very careful with that. And then when you're changing your blades, of course, just follow Cricut's instructions. They have good instructions on the best way to change those blades. And of course, if you have extra blades and tools, store them away safely when not in use. Cricut has a little tool kit that you can get. You can store everything in there. That works extremely well. Number 3 are the materials. I recommend using materials for your Cricut machine that are approved by Cricut. And the reason I do is that they know they're going to work properly with your machine. Now, it doesn't mean the other materials will not work properly, and I know they do. Just make sure you supervise everything as it goes through. So that is tip number 4, of course, is supervision. Never leave your machine unattended during operation, because if something goes wrong, you want to be right there to fix it. If the machine jumps off the shelf where you're working with it, or it has, a blade jam or whatever that happens to be, you want to make sure you're right on top of it so you can press either the pause button or simply unplug it so it stops. And of course, the next one is maintenance. And don't forget to clean your machine regularly. Now, Cricut has some suggestions about how you should, of course, clean your machine. But for me, what I find is I unplug it, but I also make sure that the blade and cutting mechanism is in the center, so I'm not sort of chasing into the corners. I want to make sure I'm going to clean underneath and make sure everything is debris free. And there are the little wheels in the front. Make sure there's no debris stuck in those as well. So that's maintenance. And then, of course, finally is the electrical safety. Plug the machine into a grounded outlet and sort of try to avoid using extension cords if possible. I know it's not always possible with the way things are wired or where you have to put your machine when you're using it. And make sure your additional accessories and tools are rated for the appropriate voltage and current. Don't try to use a different current for your machine. If it's not going to work, it could cause a problem. So there are my tips. There are 6 of them: workplace safety, blades and tools, materials, supervision, maintenance, and electrical safety. This has been the Creative Crafters Podcast, and your questions answered.